Let me paint a picture for you this morning. The sun is up, your stomach is grumbling, but the sheer idea of standing over a hot skillet or scrubbing a pot makes you want to pull the covers over your head and call it a day. I see you nodding because we have all been there, standing in front of an open refrigerator like a statue in a museum, waiting for inspiration that never shows up. So here's the game plan. We are leaving the stove off. No sizzling, no steaming, no complicated timing. We are walking through a full lineup of high-protein, no-cook breakfasts that require little more than a plate, a spoon, and maybe 10 minutes of your calm, quiet morning. These are meals designed to support your muscles, steady your energy, and keep you sharp without turning the kitchen into a war zone. And look, if you enjoy finding the easy button in a world that feels constantly complicated, go ahead and tap that subscribe button right now, because here at my channel, that is our entire mission statement. We cut the fluff, keep the flavor, and make sure you can eat well without the headache. Let us step right into the first one. 1. Banana and peanut butter protein bowl reimagined. Picture this as a hug from the inside out. It is the kind of dish that tastes like a weekend treat but works behind the scenes like a weekday warrior. We begin with one single medium banana. Aim for bright yellow with maybe just a few freckles, not the spotty, mushy kind, especially if you are keeping a close watch on your sugar levels. That banana is going to contribute roughly 1 gram and 1/3 of protein, but its true superpower is delivering that creamy, natural sweetness that quiets the voice in your head begging for a donut. Slice it up into soft coins and scatter them into a shallow bowl. Next up, we layer on the staying power. Spoon out 2 full tablespoons of natural peanut butter. No need for the sugary stuff with the palm oil iceberg floating on top. We want just peanuts and maybe a whisper of salt. That scoop carries about 8 grams of pure, muscle-loving protein along with a payload of healthy fats. What do those fats do for you exactly? They act like a traffic cop in your bloodstream, slowing down the rush of sugars so you feel full and level-headed past 10 o'clock instead of crashing into a brain fog. Now for the secret weapon that costs pennies but pays off in digestive peace. Sprinkle in a single tablespoon of chia seeds. Those tiny gray specks add another 3 grams of protein and a whole lot of fiber, which keeps the internal plumbing running smoothly. At this stage of the game, that is not just a detail. It is a victory lap. If you desire a bit more chew, toss in 2 tablespoons of old-fashioned rolled oats. Dry, right out of the canister. They will absorb the ambient moisture from the fruit and soften into a pleasant, chewy bite without you ever lighting a burner. Splash in just enough unsweetened almond milk to make the mixture cohesive, but do not drown it. You want a bowl, not a puddle. But here's the part that changes the entire experience from fueling up to sitting down for a moment of peace. Take an extra 30 seconds to arrange the banana pieces in a neat ring around the inner edge. Drag the peanut butter across the top in a lazy zigzag like you are signing your name on a masterpiece. Pile the chia seeds high in the center crater. Suddenly, this is not a heap of ingredients. It is a composed plate. It signals to your brain that you are worth the effort, even if the effort was laughably small. If you are managing type 2 concerns, cut the banana portion in half and toss in a fistful of blueberries. You slash the sugar load and boost the antioxidants, and frankly, the flavor contrast between the cold berry and the warm nut butter is a revelation. And listen, if peanut butter ever sits in your gut like a brick, almond butter steps in smoothly and feels a bit lighter on the stomach lining. By the time you take that last spoonful, you have banked somewhere between 12 and 14 grams of protein, and you did it without breaking a sweat. 2. The sardine and avocado crisp platter. I need you to stick with me here because I know what you might be thinking. Sardines at 8 in the morning sound like a dare gone wrong. But I assure you, this is the secret handshake of the energetic senior set. They are not eating this because it is trendy. They are eating it because it is a freight train of steady energy that does not derail. You crack open one small tin of these silver swimmers packed in either water or olive oil. Right there, nestled in that little metal container, is upwards of 22 grams of high-quality protein paired with a flood of omega-3s for brain clarity and a healthy ticker. Now, if the aroma when you peel back the lid is a little too reminiscent of the docks, do not panic. A sharp squeeze of fresh lemon juice neutralizes that intensity almost instantly. It changes the entire chemical profile of the air. Scoop half a perfect avocado from its shell. Use the tines of a fork to press it down, but do not turn it into a puree. You want a rustic landscape of creamy green bumps. Add a pinch of sea salt and maybe a second squeeze of that lemon. Grab 5 or 6 sturdy whole grain crackers. We are looking for the kind with visible seeds and grains on the surface, the ones that shatter with a satisfying crunch, not the white ones that dissolve into paste on the tongue. Let us construct this in a way that makes you look forward to it rather than dread it. Lay the crackers like soldiers in a row on one flank of the plate. Create an island of that smashed avocado on the opposite side. Drape the sardine fillets over the top like a crown. This is a deliberate, attractive landscape of food. The method of consumption is equally important. You take a cracker, you swipe it through the green mound, and you top it with a piece of that flaky fish. It is savory, it is rich, and it is deeply satisfying. If the fish is just a bridge too far for your palate, swap in a can of solid white tuna or even pink salmon. The protein count remains stellar, but the flavor dials back to a gentle hum. For anyone dancing with diabetes, this meal is an ally. The carbohydrate count from the crackers is minimal, and the wall of fat and protein ensures that what little carbs are there enter the bloodstream at a polite, dignified pace. And if your jaw is tired or teeth are feeling sensitive, forget the crackers. Just take a fork to the avocado and fish medley and enjoy it as a soft, nourishing pâté. No one is keeping score. 3. The hard-boiled egg with hummus tableau. Let us call this the I refuse to overthink this breakfast. Some mornings, the brain is not ready for decisions, and this plate requires exactly 0 of them, provided you did the prep work earlier in the week. Boil up a batch of 5 or 6 eggs on a lazy Sunday, or just buy the bag of pre-cooked, pre-peeled ones from the market. There is 0 shame in paying for convenience when the alternative is skipping breakfast entirely. Set 2 of those orbs on your cutting board. Slice them cleanly down the middle, revealing that golden, slightly crumbly center. That is 12 grams of protein staring you right in the face. Then, with a confident hand, scoop a generous 3 tablespoons of creamy hummus onto the plate. That earthy spread adds roughly 3 more grams of protein, plus a fiber boost that keeps things from being boring. We need a touch of green, something with a snap. Grab a handful of cucumber wheels or a few thin carrot spears. They are not mandatory for survival, but they provide that auditory crunch that makes eating feel more like an activity and less like a chore. Let us play with the presentation just a smidge. Mound the hummus in one distinct corner as if it were a dip waiting for guests. Fan the egg halves around the perimeter. Cut side up so they catch the light. If you are feeling particularly regal, take a pinch of smoked paprika or a few grinds of black pepper and dust the yolks. It looks like you paid $17 for this at a bistro. The critical move, the one that changes everything, is to swipe a wedge of egg directly through that pool of hummus. The creamy tang of the chickpeas marries the rich yolk in a way that makes plain salt seem like a missed opportunity. If dairy is your nemesis, rest easy. This plate is a fortress of lactose-free security. For glucose monitoring, this is a perfect storm of low impact. High protein, negligible carbohydrates, and a slow, steady release of fuel that does not spike or jitter. And if you ever run out of hummus or find it a bit too dense, just mash up that other half of avocado from the previous meal. The texture is a perfect stand-in. 4. The hurry-up overnight oats. The name itself is a bit of a fib, isn't it? Overnight implies planning and patience, but we are rewriting the rules for the impatient soul. This is the express lane version, and it takes about the same amount of time as brushing your teeth. Scoop a half cup of thick, old-fashioned rolled oats into your favorite bowl or a lidded jar. That humble pile is already clocking in at 5 grams of protein. It is a silent overachiever. Next, add 1 tablespoon of those mighty chia seeds for another 3 grams of protein and a slick, gel-like texture that is fantastic for slowing down digestion. This is especially crucial if your glucose monitor tends to throw curveballs in the morning. Now, we need a fat anchor. Stir in a tablespoon of peanut butter. This adds a creamy mouthfeel and roughly 4 grams of muscle-building power. Without this addition, oats are a fleeting friend. With it, they are a long-term companion. Pour in just shy of a cup of unsweetened almond milk. You do not want soup. You want a thick, porridge-like consistency that clings to the spoon. Give the whole thing a few lazy stirs, and then here is the secret to the quick version: walk away. Go sip your tea. Go stare at the birds in the yard. Just let gravity and time do their work for 8 to 10 minutes. When you return, the oats will have absorbed the liquid and softened to a perfect spoonable state. There is no cooking, no microwave humming, just the quiet passage of time. Throw a fistful of whatever berries you have on top. Blueberries are my go-to because they offer a sweet pop without flooding the system with fructose. If we are doing the math, you are sitting pretty at about 14 grams of protein. But more than the numbers, it is the sensation that matters. This breakfast delivers a sustained hum of energy, not a wild carnival ride. Let us make it look as good as it feels. Instead of a uniform beige glop, layer the ingredients like a parfait. Oats on the bottom, a ribbon of berries, another blanket of oats. Smooth the top with the back of the spoon and create a little divot for a final sprinkle of chia seeds. For anyone monitoring blood sugar, this recipe is already on the honor roll. You can upgrade it to valedictorian status with a generous pinch of cinnamon. That spice is not just for flavor, it actively helps your cells be more receptive to insulin. And if peanut butter isn't calling your name, swap in almond butter or a scatter of crushed walnuts. The result is the same: a quiet, dependable, no-cook breakfast that does exactly what you need it to do without a word of complaint. 5. The turkey roll-up formation. Welcome to the most direct breakfast in the entire rotation. We are talking about a meal that goes from fridge to mouth in less time than it takes to decide what to watch tonight. There are no bowls to stack, no spoons to lick, and no waiting period. It is pure, protein-forward efficiency. Start by laying out 3 or 4 thin slices of deli turkey. Look for the kind that is roasted and minimally processed, the stuff that actually tastes like bird and not like a chemistry experiment. That stack of meat is delivering a walloping 15 to 18 grams of protein straight to your muscle fibers. Lay each slice flat on a clean surface. Spread a whisper-thin layer of either hummus or a grainy spicy mustard across the surface. We are painting a canvas here, not icing a cake, so keep it light. Place a crisp spear of cucumber or a leaf of butter lettuce right down the middle. Maybe even a sliver of avocado if you have one lying around. Now, tuck and roll. Gently, as if you are wrapping a delicate gift. Do not squeeze the life out of it. Just a soft cylinder. That is it. The cooking portion of this exercise is complete. But we are not going to just toss these like logs on a wood pile. We are going to arrange them. Line them up side by side on the plate, seams facing down so they hold their shape. Add a few stray cherry tomatoes or an extra pile of cucumber coins for a splash of color. It looks like a continental breakfast from a European hotel, not something you assembled while still half asleep. The eating experience is soft yet substantial. There is no dense bread to weigh you down or send you into a mid-morning stupor. For those keeping an eye on blood sugar, this is a dream scenario. You are essentially eating protein wrapped in more protein with a hint of fiber. It is as close to a zero-carb, high-fuel meal as you can get without a blender. If the idea of processed deli meat gives you pause, pivot to slices of leftover roasted chicken breast from last night's dinner, or even use a large piece of romaine lettuce as the wrapper with a tuna salad tucked inside. And on those days when the jaw feels stiff or tired, do not even bother rolling. Just lay the components on a plate and eat them in sequence like an open-faced deconstruction. Simple, flexible, and entirely on your terms. 6. Apple slices with a seed-crusted dip. This one is a bit of a magician. It presents itself as a light snack, a palate cleanser, but behind the curtain, it is pulling serious weight in the nutrition department. Take one medium apple, perhaps a Honeycrisp or a Gala, and slice it clean through the core into wedges. Keep the skin intact. That is where the fiber lives, and that fiber acts as a brake system for the sugar inside the fruit, ensuring you do not get that dizzying spike. The apple itself is a protein lightweight, offering just a whisper, but it provides the perfect vehicle for the heavy hitters. Spoon out 2 generous tablespoons of almond butter or peanut butter and place it in the center of your plate. That dollop is worth about 8 grams of protein, transforming this from a rabbit snack into a human meal. Then, take a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds and scatter them like confetti over the nut butter and the apple slices alike. Those little gems add another 3 grams of protein along with zinc and magnesium, which are the quiet caretakers of your immune system and mood. Let's turn this into a visual moment worth savoring. Fan those apple wedges out in a wide arc, overlapping just slightly. Place the nut butter in the center of that crescent like a precious stone in a setting. The seeds should be distributed with care, not just piled in one corner. It is a 2-minute breakfast that looks like you actually thought about your day. The act of dipping the cool, crisp apple into the smooth, savory spread is one of life's simplest pleasures. For anyone navigating diabetes, a small pivot is helpful. Choose a green Granny Smith apple instead of a sweet red one. The tartness indicates a lower sugar load, and the nut butter is already doing the heavy lifting of balancing your insulin response. If the crunch of the apple is too much some days, use a box grater to shred the apple into a soft pile and stir it directly into the nut butter with a dash of cinnamon. You get all the same benefits in a form that is gentle on the teeth and gums. 7. The savory tofu morning bowl. Before you skip ahead, hear me out. I know tofu has a reputation for being the beige wallflower of the protein world, but it is also one of the gentlest, most agreeable sources of morning fuel you can find. It does not fight back, it does not weigh you down, and it takes on whatever personality you give it. Scoop out a half cup of firm or extra firm tofu from the package. No need to press it for hours like a gourmet chef. Just pat it dry with a clean cloth so it is not dripping wet. That modest block of soy curd is hiding about 10 grams of high-quality plant protein. Dice it into neat, bite-sized cubes. The size matters here because you want to be able to navigate the bowl without a knife. Now, we must address the elephant in the room. Plain tofu tastes like water's ghost. We need to wake it up. Drizzle over it 1 teaspoon of good olive oil and a splash of low-sodium soy sauce or tamari. Toss it very gently. That is it. The transformation is immediate and subtle. If you want to round this out, toss in a handful of cherry tomatoes, halved, or some thin slices of crisp cucumber. That vegetation adds a splash of juiciness that breaks up the softness of the tofu. Plate this in a way that shows respect for the ingredients. Create a mound of the seasoned tofu right in the epicenter of a shallow bowl. Ring that mound with the tomatoes, like a red necklace. This is not a rushed, messy pile. It is a composed, savory start to the day. Each bite is cool, slightly salty, and effortless to chew. For blood sugar management, this is a blue ribbon winner. You are dealing with negligible carbs and a solid wall of protein that keeps your glycemic response flatlined and steady. If soy is not your friend, or you just want a change of pace, Swap that tofu block for a half cup of drained, smashed chickpeas. The texture changes from silken to granular, but the gentle, no-cook nature remains exactly the same. This is the breakfast equivalent of a steady hand on the tiller in rough seas. 8. The lactose-free creamy alternative bowl. This is dedicated to those of us who crave the cooling, spoonable luxury of a yogurt parfait but whose digestive system stages a revolt at the mere mention of lactose. We are living in a golden age of alternatives, and we are going to take full advantage of it. Spoon 3/4 of a cup of a high-protein, plant-based yogurt into your favorite vessel. Look for one based on almond or coconut that has been fortified with pea protein. You want a label that reads close to 12 or 15 grams of protein per serving. Smooth the surface with the bottom of your spoon, not because you are fussy, but because it creates a flat canvas for the art to come. Add a tablespoon of ground flax seeds. This is a small but mighty addition. You get another couple grams of protein and a significant dose of lignans and fiber that promote regularity and heart health. Drop a scatter of mixed berries across that white landscape. The deep blues of blueberries and the red of raspberries pop against the pale yogurt. This contrast is important. We eat with our eyes first, and if the food looks like a sad white bowl of nothing, we are less inclined to enjoy it. This looks like dessert, but it functions like fuel. Take a moment before you dig in to just appreciate the simplicity. For those watching their sugar, ensure the yogurt is truly unsweetened. The fruit will provide all the sweetness you need, and the fat in the flax will ensure that sweetness does not hit your blood like a brick through a window. If you want a warm, aromatic note without sugar, a dusting of Ceylon cinnamon is the way to go. And if even the alternative yogurt is a no-go, consider this clever trick. Blend half a block of silken tofu with a splash of vanilla and a drop of stevia. It whips up into a shockingly creamy, protein-packed pudding that works exactly the same way in this bowl format. 9. The reliable peanut butter toast and egg duo. Some mornings, you do not want innovation. You want the warm, fuzzy blanket of familiarity. This is the cornerstone of the no-cook canon. Start with a single, sturdy slice of whole grain bread. Look at the ingredient list. You want to see the word whole preceding the grain. That slice brings about 4 grams of protein and a scaffolding of fiber that makes the meal more satisfying. You can toast it if you like the sound of the crunch, or leave it soft if your mouth is feeling a bit tender. Either path is correct. Slather it with 2 tablespoons of natural peanut butter. That is 8 grams of protein melting into all those little nooks and crannies. This fat and protein matrix is what keeps you from scrounging through the pantry at 11 a.m. Set 1 hard-boiled egg right next to it. That humble egg is 6 more grams of the good stuff. Slice it in half crosswise so you see the bullseye of the yolk. It just eats better that way. Arrange the toast triangles because we cut it diagonally for better mouthfeel and aesthetics, and the egg halves on a plate. Maybe a light dusting of black pepper on the egg. That is it. That is the meal. You are looking at roughly 16 grams of protein in a configuration that feels like home. For those navigating blood sugar concerns, the key is the bread. A high-fiber, dense, German-style rye or pumpernickel is even better than standard whole wheat. And if the thought of peanut butter makes you feel heavy, a spread of mashed avocado with a sprinkle of everything bagel seasoning is a luxurious and equally satisfying substitute. You can even swap the egg for a small pile of raw almonds if you are in a rush. The spirit of the meal remains intact. Simple, satisfying, and solid. 10. The no mayonnaise tuna salad bowl. This is your protein powerhouse dressed in a tuxedo. It looks unassuming, but when you finish eating this, you will feel like you have a solid foundation under your feet for the rest of the day. Take 1 small can of tuna. We are talking about the chunk light or solid white packed in water. Drain it thoroughly. This is a step you cannot skip. Watery tuna is a sad affair. Flake it apart with a fork in a medium bowl until it resembles a fluffy cloud of fish. That small can is carrying an impressive 20 grams of protein, which is a substantial down payment on your daily muscle maintenance needs. We are bypassing the jar of mayonnaise entirely. It is heavy, it often disagrees with older stomachs, and it just muddies the flavor of good tuna. Instead, we are dressing this with a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and a generous squeeze of fresh lemon juice. The acid from the lemon is the hero here. It erases any hint of canned flavor and replaces it with a bright, Mediterranean zing. Chop up a quarter cup of crisp cucumber into tiny dice and fold them in. They add a refreshing burst of water and texture that cuts through the richness of the oil. Plate this with a bit of care. Use a spoon to form the tuna salad into a neat dome in the center of the plate. Surround that dome with a few extra cucumber slices or celery sticks standing guard. It looks like a deliberate salad course, not a rushed sandwich filling. Each forkful is soft, cool, and savory. For someone managing diabetes, this meal is a lifeline. The net carbohydrates are virtually zero. It is pure, steady, slow-burning fuel that will not cause a crash. If the taste of tuna is too strong for your liking first thing in the morning, swap it out for canned salmon, which is milder and higher in those crucial omega-3 fats. And if you need an even softer texture, add an extra drizzle of oil and mash it all together into a smooth pâté consistency that can be eaten with a spoon or spread on a soft cracker. 11. The Nut and Seed Power Crunch Bowl. There are mornings when even the act of opening a can feels like a monumental task. When the energy tank is sitting on empty and the coordination is not quite there yet, this bowl is your emergency ration. It requires no cutting, no mixing, no dishwashing beyond a single bowl. Grab a quarter cup of mixed, raw nuts. A combination of walnuts and almonds is ideal. Walnuts are soft and brain-shaped for a reason, while almonds offer a satisfying crunch. That handful delivers about 7 grams of protein and a whole lot of satiating fat. Add a tablespoon of sunflower seeds. They are small but dense, adding another 2 grams of protein and a dose of vitamin E. Toss in a small handful of fresh berries or even raisins if that is all you have, just to break up the earthy, nutty profile with a burst of sweetness. You're looking at roughly 10 grams of protein in a meal that fits in the palm of your hand. I need to be upfront about the texture here. This is not a soft, gentle bowl like the yogurt or the tofu. This asks you to chew. And that is a good thing. Chewing is the first stage of digestion, and it signals to your body that a meal is arriving. Take your time. Eat this slowly, one piece at a time, perhaps while reading the paper or looking out the window. To make it feel more like a meal and less like trail mix, arrange the nuts as a base, scatter the seeds, and then dot the berries on top like little jewels. For diabetes management, this is a smart option provided you keep the portion controlled. Nuts are calorie-dense, but they have a negligible effect on blood glucose. If chewing is a genuine struggle due to dental issues, you can pulse the nuts in a small food processor until they are coarsely ground, almost like a crumble topping. Sprinkle that over a spoonful of applesauce or mashed banana to soften the experience. 12. The Humble Bean and Avocado Bowl. We finish our journey with the dish that is perhaps the least assuming but the most steadfast. This is the breakfast of centenarians in blue zones around the world. It is cheap, it is filling, and it has a creamy, savory depth that surprises you every time. Open a can of your favorite beans. Black beans are excellent here, as are chickpeas or cannellini beans. Rinse them under cold water until the water runs clear. This washes away the excess sodium and that strange viscous liquid they sit in. Measure out a half cup. That is a solid 8 grams of plant protein paired with a massive dose of soluble fiber, the kind that scrubs your arteries and feeds the good bacteria in your gut. Place them in the bowl and take your fork to them. Mash just a few of the beans against the side of the bowl. You are not aiming for refried beans. You just want to create a little bit of a creamy sauce to bind the whole beans together. Slice open half a perfectly ripe avocado. scoop it out of its shell and lay it next to the beans. You can keep it in a fan of slices or just give it a few rough mashes with the fork. The avocado adds a luscious, buttery mouthfeel and the healthy, monounsaturated fats that help your body absorb the fat-soluble vitamins in the rest of your day. Drizzle everything with a thread of good olive oil and a tiny pinch of flaky sea salt. Do not mix it all together into a homogeneous paste. Keep the beans on one side, the green avocado on the other. The visual contrast is striking. It looks intentional and clean. If you have a few cherry tomatoes on the counter, slice them and scatter them over the top for acidity. When you take a bite that contains both the creamy bean and the fatty avocado, it is a revelation in texture and satisfaction. For those managing diabetes, beans are a superfood. Their fiber content means your body processes the carbohydrates incredibly slowly, resulting in a flat, stable blood sugar line for hours. If beans tend to cause you digestive distress, try using lentils instead. They are smaller and often easier to digest. This is a quiet, powerful breakfast that asks for very little and gives back so much. All right, take a breath and look back at that list. 12 different ways to fuel your body without ever turning on a burner or dirtying a pan. The goal here was never to become a gourmet chef before coffee. The goal was to give you a toolkit of reliable, protein-packed options for those mornings when you just cannot be bothered to cook. If even a few of these ideas made you nod and think, yes, I have those ingredients, then we have done exactly what we set out to do here at my channel. We cut through the noise and make the day a little easier to manage. If this guide brought you some value or even just a moment of calm, please take a second to tap the like button below. It helps more people discover these simple strategies. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss the next round of practical, no-nonsense ideas. Take gentle care of yourself today, and I will see you right back here for the next one.